Well, let's get more now from CCTV's Robert Nagila. He's live in Juba. Kofa Ranger joins us live from the South Sudanese capital of Juba. Let me begin with you, Robert. What else has transpired at the IGAD meeting there in Addis Ababa?
Well, thank you, Penina. That meeting has just broken off from the first session. The leaders have gone for lunch and they are expected back this afternoon. Now, on the agenda itself is the verification mechanism of the ceasefire agreement that was signed at some point last week. There are still concerns that there are violations on both sides, as you had from that sound clip from the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, also up for discussion is the creation of a humanitarian corridor to allow for humanitarian assistance, but that can only happen once some of the details that were agreed upon in the peace agreement are actually met by both sides. Now, chief among them, of course, is the release of the remaining detainees. Now, we do know that President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya has been very instrumental in those talks, and they're still ongoing. And he briefed the other IGAD heads of state saying that talks are still ongoing on that particular issue. So still a lot of talking to be done. But like you said, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and South Sudan's President Salva Kiir missing from the talks. However, their representatives are here.
Kofa, let me come to you there in Juba. As the IGAD leaders meet over South Sudan, what's the perception there in South Sudan on the IGAD initiative? Is there public support and confidence that these peace efforts will bear fruit?
Yes, of course, Penina, when you talk to many of the people here, they will tell you they want to see this crisis come to an end as soon as possible. Many say they fought for many years, saying they were fighting what they call the enemy for the independence of South Sudan, and therefore they wouldn't want to see a repeat of what happened back then, the killing and the destruction of property. They want this a nation, which is the newest nation, not just in Africa, but also in the world, to start rebuilding and going forward and not fighting. In fact, they say when they were fighting back then, they had a reason to fight because they were fighting for the independence of the country. But now they don't understand exactly why people are fighting each other. Penina.
All right, and Robert, coming back to you there in Addis, obviously IGAD having all of these discussions on what to do to end this crisis, but is there a clear way forward or perhaps a timeline on when the peace process will be completed?
Well, Penina, there's a growing concern around many people that you speak to here that the sticking point here is the release of the remaining detainees, because a lot of the people involved in these talks and in the initiative that are currently ongoing, that is the IGAD heads of state, their partners and stakeholders, believe that the remaining detainees, the release of the remaining detainees are instrumental to the peace efforts currently ongoing in Sudan. Now, the other issue that is going to be discussed here as well is the progressive withdrawal of Uganda's troops from there. We've already had from countries such as Norway saying that perhaps it's time for Uganda to start considering that withdrawal. Now, from what we're hearing from our sources is that Uganda is still uncomfortable with that. They feel that they still need to be there until a comprehensive peace agreement is reached. Now, that can only be reached once some of those sticking points are agreed upon. Now, the main thing now is to get both parties to agree on what was signed previously. As President Uhuru Kenyatta said earlier, there are still accusations and counter-accusations from both sides over violations of that agreement. So still a lot of talking to be done, and it is hoped that some of the recommendations that will come out of here today will be followed up very strongly on the ground. So a lot of people watching these talks very keenly, especially the people of South Sudan. The neighboring countries have taken the brunt of that conflict. You still have a lot of people moving up and down into the neighboring countries, and the humanitarian situation is also of growing concern. Now, as you heard from the U.S. Special Envoy, where he said that, look, those who are resisting or those who are acting as spoilers within this particular process will be dealt with. There will be consequences. So we await to see what recommendations will come out of that. But chief among them is the verification process, getting monitors out there to monitor the ceasefire agreement on both sides and report back to the IGAD heads of state. So everybody looking towards IGAD because they see them as the front runner in this particular process.
All right, so let me come back to you, Kofa, there in Juba. Obviously, like Robert said, one of the sticking points in the talks in Addis Ababa has to do with the political detainees. Now, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has been quoted as saying that there are ongoing efforts to release those remaining detainees. But what's their fate, Kofa? Do we know? Have they been charged yet?
Well, Penina, the government is not, talking much about the remaining detainees since the release of the 7. But what we know is that they've not been formally been taken to a court of law. But the government still insists that investigations, which the Justice Minister said are complete now, they believe that they have a case to answer and they will be charged with treason. However, when exactly they will be taken to court is what is not clear as at the moment.
All right, Kofa Ranger live in Juba, Robert Nagila live in Addis Ababa. Thank you both for joining us.